Hi, everybody. I'm Donna Norris, soul level intuitive to animals and humans, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome for the first time. Thanks for tuning in. And if you like what you hear today, please consider hitting like and subscribe so that you can be notified of future episodes in this series. It's gone over really well. I'm getting wonderful feedback on it. It's called Awakening Journeys, if you just happen to click on the thumbnail. And what it's about is a series of talks. All of the people that I've met along my path in the metaphysical world come to their abilities and come into their gifts through different paths. And there's any number of different ways, and we all have our own unique blend. And so by giving everybody an opportunity to share their story, my hope is that it will inspire some of you to dig a little deeper and maybe look into what feeds your soul and what your soul purpose and your calling might be. So with that, I want to bring to you my good friend Sibyl. And she's just wonderful. She's a really gifted healer, guide, spiritual advisor, psychic medium. She's been doing all this for over 30 years, and she's had an amazing journey of from childhood into, all the different kinds of trainings that she's had. And I won't spoil the adventure for you. I'm just going to go ahead and turn the mic over to Sibyl and let her tell us a little bit about herself. Thanks for being here, Sibyl.
Well, thank you, Donna. Such amazing energy. I love being on your show, and I'm really excited. You can, and if you, by the time this broadcast comes out, the video that we're doing Saturday will probably already be posted, but you can go back on my channel at Sibyl Harmony and watch us there. And yeah, but subscribing and watching and sharing really helps put our work out there. So thank you. But yeah, I'm just delighted to be on your show, and I'm sending everybody Sumati healing frequency. My hope is that you feel better from watching this, and that it gives you some guidance in your life, because we all have abilities. It's like those superhero movies where this one does this and this one does that. But the problem is that we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten our gifts. We've blocked it off with fear or programming, but we all have ability. Whether you're a psychic or you're an artist or someone who repairs cars, or it's all needed. Someone who develops new recipes or takes care of pets or children or your family. You have karmic agreements. You have gifts and abilities, but we're all thinking and we're all feeling. So we all have abilities. It's our intuition. And this is the time that we're coming into of awakening and awareness, awakening of consciousness, using more than just 7% of our brain, which we used to have here on this planet. We used to have, and when I say masters, ascended masters, there are no masters of you. You're here to master yourself. You're the master of yourself. But when the ascended masters were here in different times on this planet, even when the archangels were, now they're still here now. Aliens are here, angels are here, ascended masters, maybe not in the way that they were before, where it was really open and clear, and times where this planet was more open, even in other worlds on this planet. But that's another story.
Yeah, we could really get into that. That's a whole other video.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just know that they're here, and they're here to support us.
Right.
Us,
of course.
right?
Yes.
And
yes.
and it's almost like we all have intuitive abilities, but they're like latent muscles that we've let go soft. We just need to start exercising them and flexing them. And with every step you take toward enhancing your abilities, the universe sends 10 steps back toward you to reinforce and support you as you grow it. So
right. Yeah. We
all
have abilities. We can all be in alignment, in synchronicity, in good health. I always tell people, if you're not feeling at peace, some people are more comfortable with peace and calmness. Some people are more comfortable with being in a really loving space. But if you're
Mhm.
not feeling like that in alignment, in harmony, then you have energy in your space. And that is our natural state, to be in health and joy, in peace. And yeah, we all have abilities. Yesterday, I just was doing my day, and sometimes we think, spirituality is these big, I saw an angel, or, the ocean
Burning
turned
bush moments.
red or something, these big
Yeah.
visions and it is that, but it's also really our daily life. Sometimes the most spiritual people are just folks who go to work and take care of their kids and read a bedtime story and are providing that security and providing for and helping the next generation, or just being in that, that you're what you would call a regular life.
Yeah.
But we can bring the extraordinary into our regular life by just being in attunement, in alignment with spirit, or with our authentic self. And what I like to do is play games. I used to be late or just on time everywhere I went, and then I would use that to kind of beat myself up, like, oh, why did you do that? Or, I'd play I run all these programs and games because I didn't know any better. And when I realized that we're making it up, we have more power than we think, and that it's all, we're here to learn, everything's here to help us, and that we can be creative with it. So then I like to align my day. And then I used to be like, okay, if I'm in alignment or I'm on my path, then show me. And I would get signs like a bird would come close, or sometimes it's just seeing a feather or that cloud or a rainbow, or hearing that song and getting a chill. But the
Yeah.
other
Or
day,
feeling, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like saying, okay, I'm in alignment. My guides told me take a break. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a couple of days off. So I'm listening to the guidance. And if you don't hear guidance or see an angel talking to you or something, you'll more like feel willed. You're just, I just feel like I need to do this, or this feels right. Or you'll just get a sense of knowing that, oh, okay. But so I play with the energy. And so I was in my car, I was running errands. I got some things taken care of that I really wanted to do, some paperwork and stuff. So it just feels like good to have that stuff out of the way.
Done.
And then
Yeah.
I was going by the organic dry cleaners that doesn't use chemicals here.
Nice.
And yeah. And I was out in front of there, and I was thinking about my grandson, hope he's doing okay and stuff. And I look up, and there he is. And I saw him with his
No
friends,
kidding.
with his high school friends, walking down the street. And I looked at him and I'm like, oh my God, he looks really comfortable and happy in his life. And there's a whole family history about high school and what happened with my son and with me. And it was just like, how could I be there at that moment when he was walking by with his friends, and I saw him, and we just kind of looked at each other and was like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even, I didn't have to run over there and go, hi, let me introduce it. I could have, but I just felt like he's in his own space and he's in his groove, and we just kind of connected. But that's like a synchronistic moment. And then I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So, I mean, how does that happen? It was just like it was meant to. I mean, I give him a ride home every night from his sports. So it's not like I don't see him, but it just happens. Things like that help us to know that, yeah, we're in alignment, we're in attunement. And I asked my guides, okay, every day I say, okay, what's the guidance? And you know what they said to me this morning? I was looking at
What's
my
that?
life. They said, thank you, Sibyl. And I was like, what? Me? Because, I was like, okay, they're thanking me. And I thought, really, that's, even as a child, that's what I wanted to do, is I wanted to somehow love a child the way I didn't feel I was loved. Now I know my mother tried to love me. She did the best, my father and too, the best they could.
Yeah.
They didn't really know how. They had their own problems. And so I'm okay with that. But that's really kind of what I do with my clients, not in a codependent helicopter parent way, but
No.
in a way that can support them. And that's what I do with my students. I teach them that. And I hope that the world is a better place, hopefully a little bit, that I made some difference somewhere. And that, to me, is a life well lived and something that gives me purpose and gives me like, okay, because I, like everyone, have looked at myself and I'm like, yeah, I always meant well, but I made a lot of mistakes, you know?
Well,
I
who
think we all
doesn't?
do.
But based on what other people have told me, the world's a whole lot better because you've been in it and you've been helping
Oh,
people. So,
wow. That
I
just
mean,
makes me want to cry.
yeah. Well,
I
that's why I was so
I
excited to
feel
have you here today. I
okay.
loved your story.
Yeah.
You've been playing with the spirits, nature spirits, and other realms since you were a kid. And I just think you have
Yeah.
a fascinating
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have a very rich and full life, you could say that.
Yeah.
And kind of like Capricorn, even though I'm not a Capricorn, I've been at the very top of, I remember when um I had an hourglass shaped figure. I used to dye my hair blonde, and I uh had earned and made $1 million, and I felt like, okay, I have arrived. I felt like
Yeah.
I am somebody. And then within a couple of years, that was all gone. And I'm even allergic to bleach blonde. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I've also been on really, on the low end of that where uh, as a teenager, practically, just couch surfing, taking a lot of pills, doing anything I could to try to feel better because I didn't know how to be at peace. I didn't know that I was like absorbing everybody's stuff and then I'd end up not being okay, or I just wanted somebody to love me. And what I realized in my work is that love that I was always looking for, and I was willing to put up with all kinds of crap to get what I thought I needed, that love was already inside of me. But anyway, as you mentioned, and that was a huge awakening and healing for me, and I'm really grateful for that. But and I'll talk a little bit more about that as I go on. But yeah, starting in my childhood, um, my father incidentally named me Sibyl, and I always felt like that felt more like a title, because a Sibyl was like a priestess or a doctor or a soothsayer or something, a medicine woman from ancient
Yeah.
times. And there were hundreds of Sibyls, like there were churches, but it wasn't really a name. I thought my name should have been like Charlotte. Like what,
Right.
my name should have
Did
been.
he know that at the time? Did he know that
I think our
history when he
parents,
gave you the name?
our names are divinely picked. I think they're connected to the spirit, and I don't know how parents do that, but yeah, I feel like he knew that. He knew that, but and I used to tell him when I was a kid that when I would go outside, I would see nature spirits. And they looked kind of like Disney, like flowers were dancing, and they were giggling, and they were little, like I saw like little like the Native Americans know that, the Irish know about the leprechauns, but I
Right.
felt connected to them, and they would play with me, and so I would just be, as soon as I got home from school, or dance school, I used to go to dance school, shoes off, and I'd be outside until way past dark. You'd have to call me in for dinner or bed because I just wanted to be out there with them all the time. And one day when I was about 6 or 7, something happened that later I just remembered it, but I didn't know why. The sun talked to me, and the sun said, you're not alone. And I was like a 6-year-old, I was like, okay. It just seemed normal to me. I never told I told my father about this, but I guess my family just played along like, okay, you're just a kid. But they never made me feel like something was wrong with it. I just, it was just a part of my life. And I always, even as a teenager, I used to always draw pictures of the sun, and I felt like it was wise and it was old and it was watching over me. And then I learned that the Delphi temple, where the Sibyls were in Greece, were overseen by the god Apollo, who was the sun god. So I was like, okay. I even took a trip there to go and be in that energy at one point. But as a teenager, I started having flashbacks of past lives. And I just knew that I lived near the water and there were dolphins. And then as a young adult, I started having more flashbacks of and doing past life regressions, and connecting with ancient lifetimes in Sumeria, Babylonian times. And so a lot of us have had, hundreds of past lives. We may have even had past lives where we were, when the planet was forming, where we were in water, or the fire energy, the fire spirits, the elements.
Right.
And I feel like you can see that usually in your astrological chart. If you have a lot of fire planets or a lot of water planets, you're more connected to that energy. But some of us have even had past lives on other planets. I don't remember those that well, but I really remember the lifetimes here and the other worlds. We don't really know. All of our history isn't taught to us. We only go back about 10,000 years, but the Native Americans know, and that we are finding actual settlements here on Earth that show that we are actually much older than we realize, possibly, Atlantis and Lemuria. I remember those lifetimes. So anyway, and I teach classes in that. I do past life regressions in my sessions. But yeah, so just to go on from there, I was like always really connected, and you are connected too. And maybe you just didn't have anybody show you, have that open space. Thank God even though my mother was kind of alcoholic and not really there, she was a bohemian, and my father didn't really know how to connect with me, but I know he meant well. But even though all that was happening, I still had this space to be a kid and to connect with myself. Yes. That's one thing that I really appreciate that my parents gave me, is there wasn't a lot of horrific abuse or any, really strict anything. So I was really a free spirit to explore myself. So if you haven't had that, if you didn't feel that as a child, I promise you, you have some connection to your feelings and your thoughts, whether it's very different from mine or similar to mine. You can connect with your with your intuition. You can heal yourself. You can connect with your authentic self, and that's all a part of your awakening.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Even if you were challenged as a child and point blank told, as I was, to stop talking about this stuff, then it still serves a purpose in that, our life history and our experiences and everything, it gives us each our own unique perspective, and spirit works with that. They work with us through our frame of reference. So it does serve to make us stronger in some cases, to make us more empathic in other cases, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and
certainly more compassionate.
Yes, every difficulty that I've had, that I've walked through, it's kind of like that song, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." It's kind of like that. Everything that we go through that's difficult in this life is really something that I've taken, and what I've done is I've made lemonade out of lemons, because on Earth, in Earth, we all get lemons. And I used to think that nobody's had it as bad as me. I mean, I come from one, and I was delighted to hear. I mean, I'm sorry for Louise Hay, but I don't know if people remember her. They know who she is, but she used
Oh my
to,
God,
she
she's
wrote,
one of my
yeah,
heroes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was sorry to hear that she had an abusive childhood, but I also was happy that I felt like I could relate to her. Like, I wasn't happy about it maybe, but I was like, oh, there's somebody like me, because that's a lot of what my younger adult life was like. And maybe not when I was real little, but I did have that. But everything there was meant to teach me. And when we have that and we walk through those difficult situations, it can be our greatest healing. And that can be part of our awakening. Yeah. So,
And
and I
just like
also,
Louise Hay, you don't let it define you today. It's part of your story, but it's not you. You know,
right.
we are not our story. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And, yeah. So, and also that a lot of us feel like when we were children, and that's huge in society now too. What I noticed with my grandchildren is that, like, they want to be regular, they want to be normal, they want to fit in, and kids need to fit in. They need to have, their
Sure.
friends and acceptance. But it's also, I mean, part of that is healthy, but part of that is like, well, I felt really different, and people knew I was different. And when you're gifted, you have gifts, or you're like the healer, the intuitive in the family. A lot of times you get blamed for things, or told that something's wrong with you, or that you're weird, and you are. There's nothing wrong with you, but maybe you are. We're in a weird, good way. You are different. We are different because we're more attuned, and that kind of, unfortunately, hopefully that's changing, where kids get kind of attacked for being different. I like to teach parents with small children, or even children or teens, about their abilities and their strengths,
Yeah.
that they're gifts, rather than, something to be afraid of, that, or something's wrong, or they need to be on medication. I mean, some people need medication, but I think we need to be careful that I used to, one of the schools I went to, their whole theme was, you're not crazy, you're psychic. And I was like, oh, that's what's going on with me. And
Yeah, I don't need lithium.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
precognitive. Yeah.
yeah, thank God. Yeah.
Thank goodness. Yeah. So as you got older, I mean, did the kids come to you in school like for help with things, or you know,
Um, Interesting. Um, that what would happen, I have an Aries sun, so I'm always like coming to the rescue. So I would find pets or people or girlfriends or things that needed help. And I kind of did some stupid things, put myself in danger. Like, I remember my girlfriend was being beat up. And so I jumped in my car and drove over there and confronted her black belt boyfriend, and almost and he went like, whoa, to the wall behind me. And I was like, whoa, he almost just took me out or something. I'm like, so I would do things like that. Or I remember my brother was drowning and I jumped in a pool and saved him, or things like that would happen to me. Nobody really came to me and talked to me until I got older. But that did happen. And what happened was I kind of got away from myself and my spirit and my guides and gifts. And I decided that I wanted to be a mom and bake pies and have kids and have a house with a
yeah.
swimming pool. And I tried to do that. I didn't know who I was, so I tried to model myself after, um, I Dream of Jeannie or Doris Day or something like that. I tried to be like, Bewitched or something and be a mom or something. But I kind of
Sure.
lost myself. I dyed my hair blonde and I decided I'd be a stupid blonde. I was big chested when I was younger, so I just easily fit into that role. So I thought, well, that's how people will like me or how I fit in. So I didn't really know who I was. And I kind of walked away from spirituality because I was really trying to have that life. I was trying to create a life that I thought was, I was programmed to do or supposed to do. I was just not very aware and
Right.
conscious. And it wasn't really working well. So what happened is I would get depressed and feel lonely, even around people or in a marriage. And, the marriage wasn't working and all that. So I started to take pills, antidepressants and anti-anxieties. And I tried Prozac and all
Sure.
these different things, and nothing seemed to really work. But I had kind of just went away from myself. And at some point, when my husband said, I want a divorce, and he'd spent all our money, we'd taken out these big loans and started a company and bought a house. And he told me, like, I just blew everything, everything's gone. And I was like, what? And I'm leaving you. So that was my dark night of my soul. And
Yeah.
yeah. And so I just, at first I got angry at life. I was angry at God. I'm like, how does this happen? Why am I being forsaken? What? And it wasn't God. It wasn't, none of that was supposed to be my life. I mean, I had karma. We have karma with people, but what happened was I started, well, even the beginning of the marriage, it started before that because I listened to that Shirley MacLaine used to have a chakra meditation video. And I did that. And I was like, wow, something happened. And I started doing prayers. I went into um, like these, I would join these women's groups and stuff like that where they would say prayers, and not in a religious way, but a more spiritual way. And so something was already happening with me. And then I decided with my husband that, like that song, I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to know what love is. And I thought, really in my soul, I thought, I want to know what love is. I want to know if I can really love somebody. And I found out I could, but I didn't know how to love myself or respect myself. And then I started, when the marriage started falling apart, I started saying, okay, what is happiness? I want to be happy. Who am I? And why am I here?
Yeah.
So that's the beginning of awakening. When we start to ask those questions, sometimes, we need to first get our life in order, or sometimes, it happens when it's happening now.
Like when it's all scrambled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When things on the outside, it's almost like the light is getting brighter, the consciousness that's available coming in is getting higher. And so we can see all the shadows. It's like it's darkest before the dawn. It's like right when you're standing under the sun and there's a big tall, and then you can see the whole shadow. It's like
Yeah.
that. And so, yeah. So for me, it was a dark night of the soul. And that really started me on my spiritual path to heal myself. And I remember the first time I went to an energy healing class and I sat down and they showed me like how to ground and how to look at energy. And I was like, wow, I could feel that. And actually I had gotten sick before that and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And so I changed my diet. I started saying affirmations, listening to Louise Hay. I started doing stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, going to get acupuncture, because the doctors told me, well, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, I can barely get out of bed. I was like, you know, if this is life, I don't think I want it. I just was like, I so what happened was I started saying, okay, if you're really out there, you know, I remembered that sun when I used to feel it was watching over me and talk to me. Like, if you're
Yeah.
really there, would you help me? Would you show me what to do? And that's when it really started to open up for me. Sorry, I get emotional.
Uh-huh.
And I
Understandable.
what?
It's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving.
And I started to be shown and guided. And I didn't always listen. I was like, well, you take care of my health. I'll do the other stuff in the marriage, or, you know, I'll figure this. I would give little parts of myself to my higher self, really. I thought I was giving it to God. Really, we're all God. Or I thought I was giving it to something watching over me, that's cool. That's fine. But really, I was giving myself, my higher self, permission to get out of fear and trying to control it or manipulate it so that I could be okay, so that I could connect with my higher self, with something bigger, more aligning, more on purpose than what I was doing, trying to, you know, just like a kid, we try to manipulate. We want to have our, you know, our candy, so we're going to do, you know, whatever we can to make that happen.
We
But
want what we want. Yeah.
all that stuff started falling away. And so I went through, I I I studied energy. I traveled around the world. I worked with shamans and healers. And in some places, like this one place I went in the Philippines, there was this church, and I'm not religious, but these people that were there were a mix of shaman and Catholic. I'm not Catholic or Christian, but I am connected with Jesus and Mary Magdalena and Mother Mary. So in this
Yeah.
one church, I went and I sat and I meditated there for months. And I went there for years. I did traveling, and I went to Delphi, and anyway, I went and worked with these shamans. And at this one church, when I walked in, there was so much unconditional love. I just broke down and cried. You could just feel it. And I would sit there with Mother Mary, and the man that had carved this 8-foot tall Mother Mary at this church had put a crystal in her heart center here. And I went with these other people that were like business lawyers and CEOs of companies, and they were not this, you know, some of them were just, you know, housewives like me, but they were, you know,
Sure.
or just
All walks of life.
all walks.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so I was sitting there next to this business lawyer, and I'm like, I would see these healings happen there, and these things that I don't really want to say what they are, because then people get into questioning, like, is that real or not, or why are you, you know, but the point is, it changed how I thought about what I thought was real and what I thought couldn't happen. And I asked the guy next to me, this business lawyer, I'm like, did you just see that? And he couldn't answer me. He didn't see it because he wasn't ready to see it. He wasn't aware and awake to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And even my husband at the time went, and he was filming everything, and he was like, oh my God, it's, you know, I think he thought it was like a karate movie or something. I'm like, okay. I don't think he saw what was going on, but it didn't change them on the inside, at least not yet. These things have a resonance. It didn't, like, how do you channel something and change? Okay, they're telling me not to say that. Oh, ringing in my ear. Okay. So it just changed the way I thought. And then when so we brought back some, and my energy changed. So we brought back these statues, and I use them sometimes in my videos. And when I would sit and meditate, the statues would start to move and talk to me. And I was like, okay, did anybody else see that? Did you just see that? And I don't think sometimes when people have gifts, they can see it too. And then when I look at pictures, they would start, like in Harry Potter or something, the pictures would start talking,
right? Yeah,
moving, and I'd be like, okay, wait, what's happening? Are my eyes playing trick? But what happened was, when people would sit down in front of me, I could look at the stuff and their energy, and things would change. And I learned all these specific tools of this is how you look at energy, and this is how you open your abilities. And so I have all these tools, but after a while, I didn't need the tools, and it was just happening because
spontaneously.
Yeah, because I set the intention, and then I was like, wow, this is happening. And so it's not a, so it's a lot of times when I talk to people or give them a reading or something, they're like, okay, let's see if that's true. I don't know. And then we go into the energy, what I call go into the energy. And then they're like, what happened? And I'm like, yeah, that was you. That's what happened. What happened is you let go of the energy that isn't you. That was,
right.
that it was not the truth in your space. And so I'm forever and it's not me. Everyone can do this if you want to do this, or at least have a sense of more calmness and more peace, a sense of who you are, a life where you feel like you can create what you want. You can be, experience love. You can experience the things that we're meant to experience here, peace and joy, like you do, like connection with your pets, right? Yeah. So that's a lot. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but that's
how co-creation works. We and you can read about shifts, like you talked about, having a shift in your being. Your energy was different, and those pivotal moments come, right? And you shift into being open, and that's when it starts to spontaneously happen. And as a teacher, as an instructor, or even in a book or on a video, you can hear about it, see it, have it described, and see it, but you have to kind of experience it viscerally. It's a change. You can literally feel it. And then once you remember, like, okay, this is what that feels like, then you can bring that back, set an intention and bring that back. And that's when you're open, and that's when things do start to happen spontaneously. I mean, I know some people, they're just like naturally open.
Yeah.
And they have no formal training. They just knew intuitively, pardon me, or remembered from their past life how to shift into that state of being, and they channel, or they heal,
so cool.
Or they do whatever, but we're all different. Some of us like have to have that something happen, those trigger moments. And it's not always one. Sometimes, at least for me, it's been a series at different points in my life that finally got me to the point where I was open and ready.
Yeah. So, I know some people
you're so lucky. I just think you're so lucky.
Me?
Yeah, because it happened to you at such a young age. I mean, you're like in your 20s.
Well, I had many, many lifetimes doing this.
Right, exactly.
That's what it just kind of came. So it's cumulative when you do this work. It's just, It just, we come in and we forget who we are, and then our journey is to find ourselves.
Yeah. And some people can't get over the conditioning in their karma from past lifetimes where it wasn't safe to be a healer, it wasn't safe to be a mystic.
Yes.
And so they keep it blocked until, spirit sends them a two before between the eyes.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
literally, but you know what I mean.
the other side of that is, when I first started meditating, I didn't think, I could do this, because our minds have a funny way of our spirit, or the energy of making us think that we're less than, we're better than everybody, or we're less than which neither is true. We're all God, we're all creator, we all have gifts.
Yeah.
But so I would sit and I would meditate in these schools, and you don't have to go to school. You can just meditate yourself. Or some people, like you say, just kind of wake up and they already have it from a past life, and they're just connected. But so for me,
Yeah.
I went and I would sit and I'd meditate, and I see, like, the first thing I saw was a broken, like a bird wing. And I thought, okay, that's my brokenness. And after that, I didn't see anything for like months. And they used to say to me, you'd have to go there and sit and meditate. And they'd say, "What are you looking at, Sibyl?" And I'd be, "Nothing. It's dark in here. I don't see anything." And then I started to rock back and forth like this. And I was like, "What's happening? Why is my body doing that?" And they said, "Well, you're just releasing stress." Okay.
Oh,
So I would just I just let myself do that. And then and I kept meditating, and I didn't give up. I was I thought, I'll go out to the beach, because the water heightens psychic abilities. So I'll
oh
go on
yeah.
the beach and I'll sit and I'll meditate, and something will happen. And I always thought, if I'm doing this right, angels will appear. I'll get dissertations from, I'll be
Yeah.
writing the holy book, the Book of Miracles or something. That was not happening. So sometimes this, or sometimes we're afraid of what we're going to see. So it'll be a monster from when you're a kid. So you kind of block it off, or from a past life, you've been punished. So you're like, I'll never do that again. But
Right.
for me, I know that happened to me, and I got a healing on past lives, the witch trials, the actual witch trials. So anyway, I'm sitting there in the beach. I go to the beach and I'm meditating, and I'm like, nothing's happening here. So I move down another area and sit there meditating, and I open I'm like, wait a minute. Then there's an old shoe. I'm like, was that there before? Is that a message? I was trying to, like, oh, shoe, life path, maybe. Yeah, I was looking for something. I was like, okay, but I'm just sitting there rocking. I'm like, hope no one sees me. I look like a crazy person in a mental hospital here. I'm rocking it like this. So nothing happened. So I went home. Later on, like months later, I was going through a divorce. I'm like, I really need some guidance. So I went out and sat on the beach again. Here I am again. And I'm sitting there and doing my rocking thing. Okay. And I'm like, okay, nothing's happening. I'm just keep meditating. And all of a sudden I heard this voice, because I was asking, what do I do? It was an abusive marriage. What do I do? This was another marriage. Healers always find people who need a healing. So I had a lot of karma with people. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's another guy. Okay. And so this one, and it was really an abusive relationship. And he was a hoarder, and he had all this stuff at my house. And I kept like, when's he gonna get the stuff out? Why is he, why is his stuff? Because he wasn't really even here, except maybe, once in a while he'd do a drive-by. But anyway, the guy just said, this big guide showed up, and he said, move him out. And I was like, whoo! And I looked up and the whole ocean turned red. They were freaking pissed.
Oh.
I'm like, oh my God, the water is red. So
That's pretty clear.
sometimes if we're in bad relationships, it can kind of block our gifts, but it came through. I came through. So, I'm just saying, like, if you're doing this, you don't think I can't do anything. Or I remember the first reading I did, I was so nervous. And I would just tell people in the beginning, I would just tell them what I thought they should be doing. And it isn't about anything about what I think. Now I get messages from spirit, and here's what I'm getting, and how does that, where I don't tell people what to do, or so I used to give lists of things. You need to do this, you need to do that. I mean, that can be helpful, but I really don't like those kind of readings. But anyway, the first reading I did, this lady comes in, she's sitting here, and it was actually in that room over there, like 30 years ago, whatever, 27 years ago, whatever. And I was doing the reading, and she stopped me in the middle and she said, "You don't expect me to believe any of this, do you?" And I was like, and she got up and left. And so I didn't say, well, that's it. I guess my guide said, well, they didn't say you're dishonest. They said you're a liar. And I was like, what? Me? Because I was just saying stuff that I didn't know, because I thought that, and that's not what a reading was. And so I started listening to them instead of what I thought people should, because your husband reminds me of my ex, so I'm going to tell you, dump him to the curb, and, you go to therapy, whatever, and that wasn't her lesson or whatever. And so I need to be really respectful about, but I listen to my guides now. Anyway, for anybody who's having a hard time or wondering if they can do this work, or if they can even get their own guidance, can they meet their grandson in front of the dry cleaner store? I don't know. Can you be in alignment and feel like, yeah, I'm on my path? Yes, you can. You can. Yeah. We are in this time of awakening. And so I hope that helps people. And it's really great to be on your show.
Thank you. I'm really glad you're here. I mean, I know I'm like you. I love learning, and I've studied under a lot of different people, a lot of different modalities. I just love to learn about all the different aspects of healing and of divination and of helping, because that's really what I want to do, is be of service, just like you. That's what you want to be, right? Is of service. And so I know you've studied like with shamans. I think that was in the Philippines and probably in the US too. But you also do, feng shui. I've never studied that. I find that fascinating. I know there's a really big advantage to using it in your life and in your home. But
yeah, we should do a feng shui video sometime. And I could get into, because that's a whole video explaining about how you want the land supporting you. So the ancients feng shui was only allowed to royalty or monks. And and they believed that there are 5 things that can affect your life: helpful acts towards others, your education, your karma, your numerology, and astrology, and feng shui. Yeah. So feng shui is something you can do something about. So if somebody has really strong energy in the other areas, that can carry them through if they have, not good feng shui. But why wouldn't you want to, I see people building houses like where that goes down in the back. You're not supported by the land. I'm like, why did you build your house like that? Or move the front
backs
door
up to a cliff. Yeah.
Right. I knew one guy who lived on a cliff, and he ended up going to prison. I'm like, but so, I mean, it can really affect your life. But so like if you were standing on a hill, you can try this exercise. If you're standing and facing a hill behind you and you start to sway a little bit, don't fall on, make sure it's a soft landing on dirt. But if you start to just close your eyes and you can feel that land, the earth behind you is supporting you. Whereas if you turn around and have your back facing the downhill, there's nothing there. You can feel it.
Yeah.
So our ancestors, when they would be in a cave and cooking food, they wouldn't stand with their back to the door because a person or an animal could come in and take your food, or harm you. So you want to be standing where you can see what's coming, where you're supported by the land, a wall, a house, the earth, a tree, you know, you're supported. So it's encoded in our DNA, and you can see your opportunities. That's why we want a big picture glass, beautiful view. So when we have a view, we can see what's coming. We can see where we're going in our life and all the opportunities, and welcome them rather than have stuff happening behind our back. So it's really basic. And it means, feng shui means wind and water. So it's about water and the air, how it moves through your home. Your home is a living being, just like a plant or, you know, a person, an animal. The home,
everything has energy, including our home.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has it. Yeah. And so when we do beautiful things there, cooking and cleaning and singing and dancing and being happy, we fill that space with beautiful energy. If there's been people there fighting or arguing or sick or worse, that energy is there. Pets can feel, I just heard a little doggy, pets can feel feng shui. So when you walk in a place, does it feel harmonious? Does it feel like things are placed? So, I mean, like here, I have my back to the door, but I can see like a mirror through this screen what's behind me. So I can, so in some, that's like a feng shui here. And there's actually, those are mirrors. So when you have a mirror, if your desk is facing the door, you want to have a computer screen where you're looking at, like, I can see what's going on behind me now. Or you would probably be better to turn your desk. This would probably be, I would do that, except I need the light from the windows and I have a good view in front of me. So you want to have a good view,
enjoy that.
but you also want to have your back against a wall so you're supported, and then you're facing the door and you can welcome the opportunities. But you don't want to be right in front of the door, because then you're going to get hit with pressure. So people in businesses where that one person is standing right at the front counter, right at the front door, I'm like, you got all the pressure, honey. They should all be really happy you're out here taking the hits for everybody because you're right in the front door. So it can feel like pressure. And then you don't want your feet going out a door ever in a bedroom. And sometimes, you know, or if you want the bedroom to be interesting, turn it sideways, make the bed at an angle, or put a mirror in there if you're single and you want to have an exciting single life, we'll put it that way. You want more people, because the mirror will put more people in your bed. So, but if you're married and there's little issues, sometimes you don't want to have a mirror in there. You just want to have, you don't want to have, only pictures of you and your husband in there. No mirrors, no, you know, or if you put a big crystal in there, I like, some crystals can help me sleep. They're like a black tourmaline or something. You know, because I go a lot of places in the dream world. But if you have giant crystals that are like, woo, you know, quartz crystals, woo, the energy is woo, it can keep you up. Also, energy bounces off mirrors. Mirrors create portals. So there's so much about feng shui that's really interesting. And I decided to do it, well, because I thought I was going to fix my marriage. And then, but I used it to set up my office, to set up my home. It's so important that we have, you know, orderly, beautiful homes that are supporting us. And there's a lot to that. We could do a whole show on that if you want sometime.
I think that'd be great. You know, we'll do that. I know we've got some time together that we've booked already coming up, so maybe we could talk about doing that then. But I love that idea. I know some of the other things we have studied some of the same things. Like we both studied under Doreen Virtue. We both do angel readings and angel cards. I love the archangels and the angel energy.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
both use that in our practice. You've also done, oh gosh, QHHT type therapies, for the past life work that you do
Yeah,
and
I do.
frequency
Yeah, I
tuning.
do
I
that.
mean, I love working with frequencies.
And
That's
at Susan's event, I'm going to be teaching people how to use the pendulum and energy
yay.
to clear your chakras.
Yeah. For those
So
of you who don't
each,
know who Susan is, that's Susan Lynn, and we're both
right,
friends
right.
of hers, and we're both speaking at her conference coming up at Columbus Day weekend in October.
I
Yeah.
actually think she has a
Sorry,
few
Sibyl, I didn't mean to
tickets.
interrupt.
No, that's okay. She might have a few tickets left. I don't know when this is
Yep, I
coming out.
understand it was sold out, but they had a couple of couples who had
Oh,
to cancel,
okay.
so there are some tickets
Yeah.
available if anybody wants to go to her website, susanlynnmedium.com. They can see about tickets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be working with the energy centers called the chakras and showing people how to clear their chakras. So it's
Awesome.
a healing technique or a way to open up your abilities, your third eye here, the sixth chakra, the fifth chakra, clairaudient. There's lots of little chakras around your head, but
Yeah.
it's a really cool way of like looking at people's energy. Are you balanced? Are you you have to be grounded if you want to be in, present in your life and have good health. It's really important. A lot of times we get ungrounded because we are afraid, we were abused, or we had an illness or an accident. And when people are really sensitive, a lot of times and meditation is great. I meditate every day. But if you just kind of leave your body and you're just floating around, that's fine if you're visualizing or doing a guided meditation. But you don't want to just stay out of your body because you'll develop health issues. And you're not really, so being fully awakened is being in all of your body, in
Being
each
present.
toe, and being, fully present. So if we want to be present in our lives, also you can clean out, energy that, we're letting go of fear and
Hmm.
loving ourselves and, being in alignment with ourselves. So if we want to be in alignment and balance with ourselves, this can really help show you like, okay, where am I blocking? Where am I from this, heartache? I closed up, don't want to hurt me anymore. So I closed my heart, but then we can't really feel our love. Then we're closed off and we're always, needing something. We don't know how to give it to ourselves. Or our third chakra, our daily life, all our digestive organs are in, the belly area. So we want to make sure that the chakra is moving correctly, and then send some energy. And I'm going to be showing people how to send energy to clear their chakras. So whether it's
Yay.
a feeling of, like not having prosperity, or something happened when you were a kid, an event, a belief that isn't serving you, or being afraid of your abilities from a past life. A lot of times we're not even aware and conscious. That's why I like using something like this, an energy, because we can go past because if you ask people like, yeah, I love myself, I'm okay. Okay. Well, let's have a little deeper look here. Let's help you out. And
It's
it's
like
really
an
cool and it
onion. You're
feels
just
good.
always peeling back more layers,
Yeah, and it feels really
Yeah,
good to let
it
go of some of
does.
that old stuff. Like you don't need to carry all that stuff around
Mm,
with you anymore.
no,
Yeah. So
I
there's so
mean,
much fun. I just love the being in spirit and energy. I live in energy world, spirit world.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's a great communion space, let me tell
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I love it too. So anyway, before we go, I just want to give you an opportunity. I know you have some classes coming up,
Oh,
a couple left this year, and you've also got a book that you've written that is available on Amazon. If you want to tell people about that real quick in your classes.
yeah. So my classes are always posted on my website, and I do one every month, or two actually.
Okay.
And so I'm not doing one in October because I'm going to Susan Lynn's event, but I am doing one. Actually, I am doing the Sacred Circle October 7th. I don't think this will be out by then, but every first Monday of the month, I have the Sacred Circle, which is a place where people can come and get a healing or ask questions. My students go there. And so it's just an hour and a half from 4 to 5:15 on the first Monday of every month. And so it's really a cool space to come. So check us out and come
Yeah.
get a healing or ask a question. And then my other classes, I always do something around with angels and Jesus and Mother Mary around Christmas. And so we're going to be communicating with the angels, opening up our psychic gifts, and having a better relationship with the angels who work in tandem with your own guides and your higher self. And so that's going to be really good. We're going to do a Christ healing. It's amazing. I love those. And then in November, I'm going to be doing a day of meditation. It's a 3-hour class, but that's a long meditation. 3 hours of meditating, really connecting with yourself. I'm going to show people how to meditate. And then we're going to learn the ancient sutras. These sutras are a way to clear your space. And I learned them years ago. I love them. They're so relaxing because it's November 2nd, right before the election. So it's a good time to
and just in time for relatives at Thanksgiving too.
Yeah, just getting you ready for the holidays. So it just really, when you say these, like some people, when I do them, some people hear, like they say, were there bells ringing? And I'm like, no, there was no bell ringing.
For you.
That was coming from you. That was your guide. Or it clears my energy. This one lady that I learned from, she was in an ashram, and when she went back there to learn the sutras, they're Hindu. And she would sit, and they would just do a month. They would just say the same, like there are 20 different phrases that you say. And I'm going to give people all of that. But she would just say one phrase for the whole month, and she would sit there and say this, meditate on this phrase and say it. And she would go there every day for several weeks. She was going there. And one day she went to the instructor and she said, I'm enjoying the class, and this is, wonderful and everything, but I don't understand why every class there's a woman and she's screaming for help, and you haven't done anything to help her. And he looked at her and he said, there's no one screaming for help. That's coming from you. Oh. And she was able to go in and be there for herself. I'm like,
wow.
Oh, she had been molested when she was a child, and she hadn't dealt with that. And so it is a deep healing. But they're also very peaceful and relaxing. And I do them every day. I just love to do it. It's a nice, comfy way to fall asleep at night, or if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm dealing with energy, I'll deal with that. And then I'm like, okay, now I can do the sutras, because they just really just relax, clear.
It's a great reset.
Yeah. So those are on my website.
Okay.
And my book you can find on Amazon, or you can go on my website and get it. I didn't realize there was a link on there.
And the name is?
Oh, White Rainbows. It's stories about my spiritual adventures, some that I haven't mentioned here, and a lot of ones I haven't mentioned here. And it also is the basics of energy healing. So you get a foundation. I think it has some video links in there to me explaining and working energy with people. But yeah, it actually has some graphs, and it shows you the aura, the chakras, and your grounding cord, which is really important. And so so check it out.
Okay. Okay, White Rainbows on Amazon.
White Rainbows by Sibyl Harmony.
Yep, and your YouTube channel is at Sibyl Harmony. So,
Yeah, and I think
and
you
I'll
can see
have
my
all this
name.
in the description for y'all. I'll put it
Okay.
all in the description so all of our viewers can see it and get to us.
Oh, this was so cool.
So,
Thank you
yeah,
for having
I'm so
me
glad
on.
you came by.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
nice to
Well,
get
I'm excited
together.
to
And
see you
I
next week
know it'll
on
be fun.
Saturday.
You owe me a hug.
Yeah.
I
They
want,
can watch
I'm
it on
gonna collect.
rebroadcast on
Yeah,
my channel.
yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
come and see us together there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to everybody who's been watching, I hope you liked it. Please, again, hit like and subscribe. Visit our channels and help us grow so we can help more people. Anyway, you can't have too much light in the world. And
Yeah.
I love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sibyl.